Hey y'all, it's Kim. I'm trying to change the volume, so hopefully it still sounds good once I start actually playing it because they're very soft spoken in this one. But this is the Ghislaine Maxwell transcript with Todd Blanche, and pretty much she just dropped one little bombshell, or at least it's a golden nugget to me. Like she just said that Jeffrey Epstein had a heart condition and he didn't do a lot of sexual activity, but he liked other sexual activity. Like he didn't have a lot of intercourse. Now she's saying that she didn't have a lot of intercourse. So anyway, oh my gosh, really? You guys are sex trafficking children or doing whatever it was with all these kids, and you'll say y'all didn't have sex? Come on now. I might have been born at night, but I wasn't born last night. So anyway, we're gonna start right here. This may overlap a little bit with the other video, but we're gonna start here with this Todd Blanche. Let me see how long this has left because this is the actual audio portion. Okay, so 20 minutes. That's a pretty good time frame. All right, so let me get back to this, and I'm just gonna punch play on my audio thing here. I was trying to use Audacity, but
what was your understanding of his heart condition and why that prevented him from having intercourse regularly?
I mean, he liked other forms of sexual activities. So,
Well, let's come back. We're going to obviously spend a lot of time on the actual conduct he was accused of. So we'll come back to that. So pick up where you were talking about you traveling around with him. He rented the New York former Iranian house until around 96. That time, I believe you said that he was basically your life, like you're with him pretty regularly.
Well, no. Okay. So I never was with him. That is one of those misnomers. I mean, at the beginning, I did see more of him, but I worked in his office. So I would go to the office and I would see him. And I would count in my head when I would see him, I would count that that'd be a day that I would see him. But I never ever stayed with him. I believe, certainly until 92 and 94, what I didn't know was that I think he was still with his actual girlfriend, who was Eva Anderson, who became Eva Duper. They had been together, my understanding, I think about 10 years. I'm not sure, but that's what I think, 10 years. And I had understood from my girlfriend initially that they were together, and Epstein himself had told me that they were not together, but I don't think that was true. I know it's not true. So they were still together up until I think 94, when at some point in that period and Eva met Dubin and they got married. I think in 94. I don't remember when they got married. But her, she was his best friend and everything. He told me that he always wished that he had married her and had a child with her. And I know that she was caring for him for his whole life. And I think even, I'm not sure this is true, but you guys will know if this is true or not. When he came back from Paris and we arrested him, I don't know if Eva was on the plane. Now, I think that either I read it in the discovery that I received, or I saw it somewhere, that even if she wasn't on the plane, there must have been some email communication where she was in Paris at the same time. One or the other, I don't know which one was the correct version of that. But so they were still obviously very close and remained throughout the entire time. She was still her love. And so I also know now, which I didn't know at the time, was that he still looks at other women. And I know that now because I can see it from the flight logs, and I know it now because I can see from the emails.
So you know from the case,
yes,
that from what happened.
Yes, I didn't know that along. Contemporaneously, I absolutely didn't.
So okay, so just we're going to spend time on everything you're talking about, but just to kind of close out big picture your relationship. So we're now in the late 90s. continue on with, again, staying high level to the extent you can about your relationship with him.
So my responsibilities increased with each acquisition that he got and each new project. So I believe the first thing that he purchased after was the ranch in New Mexico.
Okay.
And so what he had tasked me with back in turn, I think that was purchased in 94, if I'm right. So he had tasked me, one of the things that we did was visit, in my mind I say every state, but it wouldn't have been every state, but many states to go look at real estate. And so I know we went to Montana, I know we went to Utah, and it was to go look at real estate, fun, to be honest. And then I arranged for us to go to New Mexico, and he just loved New Mexico. And then I don't remember how the ranch happened, I don't remember that now, it's lost. And then he ended up buying the ranch, and I think the rate it came from the kings who made the governor, who bought the ranch. And then I had to deal with that. And dealing with that was extensive. I mean, the way that I thought of myself, or the way that I think is the best way to explain how I view my role was as a general manager. Because each property to me was like a hotel. So the ranch was very challenging because not only that, but it had BLM land. So to have maintained your BLM, you had to have capital. And I love animals, and so the first thing
Bureau of Land Management.
So I wanted it. If you're going to have a ranch, I like authenticity. So I don't think you should have a ranch if you're not going to have the things that make it special.
Were you paid by him along the way?
So I
during this
became
time?
salaried at some point. My memory is that I got paid $25,000 a year to begin with. That's the number. I remember that. And then with each, as it became more obvious, because I kept thinking I was going to hurt everything. And but it.
Did you, and financially, you were not relying on him. The 25,000 or whatever amount you were paid, were you relying on that money to live and his generosity to live, or did you have your own money?
So there's a.
And again, I want to just make sure we're talking about keeping it between like the late 90s, maybe I guess into a little bit 2000s.
I just want to hit something on the head right now. There's a tremendous amount of reporting that said that I had a trust fund. I have never had a trust at any time.
So how did you live? Did you live with I mean, 25,000 is not enough to live on.
No. So I had, during this period of time, the serious fraud squad had come to see me in relation to my father's passing, and to establish whether I had been involved in any way with his business and with any shenanigans. I've told the story many times, so I don't know if it's now somewhat hypocritical, but I'll tell you what my memory is. So I received a letter from them that said, I can't talk about my business, and my memory may be hypocritical. There was a PS that said, Baby Snow White's cousin. I had nothing. I was never involved in any of his business, whatever, so I was free. And
But you're, obviously your father and your family had a lot of businesses. Is it because the money, whatever money or whatever equity was in the businesses, just stayed with your other family members?
No, there was no money. So my father was never attached to money. He was born a peasant, a real one, dirt floor, no shoes, no clothes, some clothes, but not, sorry, I don't mean to say, and nothing. And he was never into that. I mean, there were things that he had his extravagances. He loved his boat and his cooking. So obviously you need money for that, but there was nothing else. And there was not a single penny of it came to any of us at any time, ever.
Okay, so when you're talking about your life with Mr. Epstein in the 90s, you're not, you're very different financially. You're very different financially positioned than he is, meaning he's
Absolutely.
giving you money, he's paying for your, when you fly, he I assume pays
Absolutely.
for your flights.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I interrupted you when you were saying how you were functioning as general manager, you helped with the New Mexico ranch. So did your role with him continue like that for many years, or for how long?
So I continued in 2000. Well, by 1999, our relationship had founded. In
Why?
well, two reasons. We were never sleeping together again, so we stopped having sexual relations in 1999. Not full sex, sorry. Didn't mean that we didn't still share a bedroom sometimes or whatever. He had another girlfriend.
He had what?
Other girlfriends. I definitively knew that it was over after 9/11, actually, because we were both from New York. And I don't know, were you in New York? I mean, 9/11's. And it was a scary time if you were in New York. You didn't know, I didn't know, nobody knew what was going on. And he was in 71st Street and I was in 65th Street, my house. And he wouldn't see me at all. So his mum, who I'm very close to, who's in the hospital at Maxwell, just asked me to look after her. And then I knew, as anyone did at that time, if you're not going to be there for someone in 9/11, you're never going to be there. So for me, that was the line. And he had another English girlfriend, actually, from 2000.
Are you though still on his? Are you still being paid by him at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. So what at that point when you say you realize kind of?
Well, I mean, I'm talking about I wanted to get married and have children. And Epstein had encouraged me to believe that would, I don't know about them, certainly by the late 90s, I mean, the marriage part was never going to happen. I had believed that maybe in 96, 97, 98, maybe, but then I realized it wasn't that. But I did think that we might have a child, which is what I had believed.
So what happens between 2001 and then 2019 with your relationship with him?
So
give or take 2001.
So we stopped having physicality. I mean, that doesn't mean we weren't friends. I certainly did stay sometimes in his room. I mean, friends with benefits, if you will, just not sex. So, just, and I started dating.
Okay.
And I met someone that I found very much in love with in 2003. His name was Ted Waite. Ted Waite, you may know as the founder of the computers. And we had a nice relationship that ended went on until 2010, I think. And I was with Ted from that time.
Did you meet him through Mr. Epstein?
No, well, indirectly, I suppose you could say so. No, they never met. I was at a dinner where I met Ted, but it wasn't. I was with President Clinton. President Clinton was my friend. And Epstein had flown him. And there was a dinner, and Ted came to the dinner. So I guess indirectly through Mr. Epstein, because it was his plane, but I'd been there anyway without him.
Was Epstein on the plane when you guys flew?
On that trip, yes. Oh, well, yes. Yes.
When you say that the dinner was where?
Okay.
Okay. And so you had flown over with And so who was on the plane for that trip? I don't mean never that when you said, so Mr. Epstein was on the plane?
Yes,
You were on the plane?
yes.
Who else? That you can remember, I'm not, you know. You don't know.
President Clinton on the plane.
Clinton. He would have had his guy, Doug Vance, maybe Jason Cooper. The two. Oh,
And so why, so how did you meet? So why did you say that's when you met him and that you met him through Clinton?
well, it was a. I don't think Ted would have been there had it not been a. It was a President Clinton dinner, and Ted came to be with President Clinton, not to be with Mr. Epstein. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why I say that.
Okay, so so in the time that you're dating, that you're with him to 2009, are you still working for Mr. Epstein during that time?
So it would be true to say that Jeffrey tried very hard, Mr. Epstein tried very hard to work for him, because I mean, this is a complex opera. I'm not talking about anything untoward, just the sheer size of the projects, including the construction projects, the houses, the stuff. It's a really significant job. And I ran all the properties, the staff in the property, the management of the properties, and all the construction. And we're talking tens of millions of dollars that I'm doing.
Oof.
I
That
can't
wasn't
remember
me,
what the
Lola.
budget was for construction on any given year. It's gone, but it was, these are very significant projects. And so that was what I did, and I managed the budgets. Well, not, I didn't manage the budgets, I oversaw the budgets. So I would just make sure that if you said you bought the air conditioning plant and saw an air conditioning plant, and I could call the island manager, did you receive the carrier, whatever, you know.
When did Mr. Epstein purchase the island?
I want to say 96 or 97, something like that.
Okay, so we're going to come back and spend more time on the money with respect to Mr. Epstein and his wealth, but just so we can finish this. So in 2009, relationship with Ted.
2009, 2010.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was 10.
Okay. So in that time period, what happens next with as far as your relationship with Mr. Epstein?
I don't have them.
You don't have one of him, like you don't see him, or it's just a different relationship?
I did see, I maybe saw him once or twice, maybe even 3 times. I sat in at his house once, for sure. Maybe twice. But I was not thinking. The only time that I was in touch with him was when the things happened, like things I mean in the press that affected me, or when the CBRA case was filed and the rubbish that went out, because I needed
Rubbish.
information. I didn't know anything about what was happening, and I needed to tell. 8 times I doesn't make sound like to place that. I don't mean his help. I meant to have answers so that I had an ability to defend myself. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not.
So when does that relationship change? So you're working, you talked about when the physical relationship stopped, and then you're still working for him or with him, managing his properties and serving as like a general manager. You then start your own relationship with another individual with Ted from 2003 till 2009 or 10. At what point in that whole period is there like more of a break where you're no longer acting as his general manager?
I wanted to have a full break when I started dating Ted, and he I suppose it would be true to say that I sort of accepted that kind of sort of family, someone I could rely on, and I should have had more confidence in myself. I can see that now, but at the time, given everything that had happened in my life, I thought that it was, and I saw how he was with other people like Eva, who seemed to be very comfortable saying that. I thought this would be, and he always said I was like family, so he worked hard to maintain a relationship with me. He was generous with me. He used to pay me, he was very generous. he would check in with my mum. Things that were meaningful to me in that time. And then it may still not have worked, but his mother, Paula, had been in a very serious car crash, and she had become sort of like a surrogate mother for me. So because my mum wasn't there, I could look after her the way that I would. The way that I would have liked to look after my own mum. So I became very close to his mother, and she had been in a car crash, and in 2004, I believe, it may have been 5, I don't recall exactly, she took her health took a serious decline. And Epstein called me and asked me if I could look after her. By looking after her, that meant organizing her doctors.
What? Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, okay. Why did it go off?
In a retirement establishment outside of Palm Beach, outside of it's West Palm. I wanted to say something like the Golden Girls, but it's not called that. I just don't remember what it's called. But it was an old age. It was a retirement home, if you will.
Todd, I don't know, we've been going for maybe about an hour now. Do you
Yeah.
think Is this a good
Sure,
time?
yeah. So we'll take a break.
All right, so we're going to take a break. The time is 10:56.
Okay. So we got through that one. Anyway, kind of cuckoo. And don't get her started crying. It'll probably make me cry, even though she's not a good person. But it's almost like I see it almost like she's putting it out there like, that all she really did was just manage the property and she didn't spend a lot of time with them and wasn't in like this big time sexual relationship and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of weird. But I think the more I look into these people, the more you see them obviously as a human, even though we don't ever want to humanize people, especially if they do something evil, but you still have to have kind of like, I won't call it empathy because they did some horrible things to kids, and I feel that that's what they did. It is what it is. I mean, there's plenty of reporting on it, plenty of people that have come forward and said they did it. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. The more you dig into these people's lives, I'm just saying, it's very strange. You feel like you almost know who they are, and then she seems like so meek and soft spoken, and just like, and I know she could be totally spinning a tale either. I'm not sitting here like, oh, she's a great person. I wish I could know her, blah, blah, blah. No, it's nothing like that. I'm just showing, I guess, the humanity of a person and what she's portraying to the world. I mean, I just don't think, whatever. She's making almost like downplaying the entire thing. And I think we know that I think we know that she knows that we know she did it. So anyway, she wouldn't have gotten 20 years if she hadn't. So whatever. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.